Hey everyone, welcome to Beginnings, the show that asks, where do creative people come from? My name is Andy, I'm the host of the show and a writer and performer based in Los Angeles, California. How are you doing, dear listener? What's in your heart? How are you feeling as you listen to this podcast? What's going through your head? You washing the dishes? Are you taking a walk? Are you at work? I am here in my studio in Los Angeles, in Los Feliz. I'm feeling okay after... Well, this morning, Naomi and I went to record an episode of Dumb People Town. If you don't know what that is, it's the Sklar Bros podcast, where they read a news item about someone in America who has done something stupid, and you riff on it. And so it's me in a room with 4 professional stand-ups, and I'm just barely holding on for dear life. And I walked out of there, and I'm like, God, I hope they don't think I'm just a dumb schmuck. You know that feeling when you are with a bunch of people you admire, and you're just, like, praying that you come out of that interaction, at the very least, you come out of that interaction, and they don't think of you ever again. I'd rather have that. I'd rather have indifference than, oh boy, that guy really stunk this place up. I don't know. I'm probably being hard on myself. But I did go home and eat my feelings. So I'm feeling better now. That's the lesson, right? Just eat your feelings. Eat enough food until you no longer feel sad. That's a healthy way to deal with your emotions. Forget therapy. Have a couple of Morningstar fake chicken nuggets. That'll solve whatever issues you're dealing with. Hey, today's episode, this is wonderful. This is Nick Turner, stand-up, I would say newish friend of mine. Let me read you his bio if you don't know who Nick is. Originally from Virginia, stand-up Nick Turner has been performing for 15 years, and you can see his stand-up on Late Night with Seth Meyers, as well as Jimmy Fallon's, John Oliver's New York stand-up show, and his own Comedy Central half-hour special. He was a regular cast member on VH1's Best Week Ever and I Love the 2000s, and is an undefeated champion on True TV's Comedy Knockout. In addition to all of this, his debut album, Yelling, was released in 2016 on Comedy Central Records, and you can hear his weekly podcast, Recently Added, which reviews everything released on Netflix that week. I saw Nick's half-hour taping. He was paired with Naomi. And we talk about it a little bit in this episode, but we kind of ran in different circles in New York, so I'd never really seen him before. And I just fell in love. And we got to be friends here in Los Angeles. And we talk about a lot about this industry out here, how our childhoods kind of affect the way that we think about or react to the business part of show business. So a lot about economic class, and also we get a lot into faith, as Nick is a staunch atheist. And also, guys, lots of goofs, because Nick's a fun dude. All right, enough of this introduction. Very quickly, if you have never heard Beginnings before, thanks for checking this episode out. If you want to check out other episodes, you can get all of them on Spotify. You can download them all on beginnings.libsyn.com. If you want to check out, if you're here because Nick's a stand-up and you want to check out other stand-ups or comedy performers like that, Andy Daly's been on the show before. Eugene Merman has been on the show. Aisha Tyler, Wyatt Cenac, tons of other people. Sarah Schaefer. So check out those episodes. I just talked to tons of musicians and writers and visual artists and philosophers, so check out those episodes too. If you want to subscribe to the show, you can do it on Apple Podcasts, on Spotify, on Google Play, and on Stitcher. You can find me on Instagram and Twitter at Andy Beckerman. And I think that's about it. All right, thanks so much for listening. And now, let's talk to Nick. about all these everyone who starts like an app or starts a whatever, some kind of technological who's-y what's it that you don't pay for immediately, right? That you don't just like partly I wish Twitter had just been an app you pay like $5 for when it first came out, and then the company doesn't have to worry about how to monetize it.
Well, sure,
because you're paying for it already, right?
Yeah, it never would have gotten off the ground.
Well, yes. I don't know what the answer is to this stuff, but it turns out like every tech company then does something fucking evil in order to make money at some point. There isn't one that isn't free and benign unless the person behind it. I can't think of one where the person behind it is either independently wealthy or doesn't care about money. So whatever the technological who's-y what's it or app or whatever it is just exists in a space where it's doing something that the public wants, and they're not like getting data on you and selling it to the government, or you know what I'm saying? So yeah. I'm wondering all these tech companies.
And this is for the Patreon, right, that we're recording right now.
This is the one thing that I've done that I have not monetized.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to keep it that way just so that I don't have to, so I can just do whatever I want.
Yeah. We monetized our podcast like second week. Because I started this podcast just because my other podcast was taking too long. And then so I'm just like, I'll start a thing and then I'll just like learn how to do everything. So I immediately started a Patreon, and it has been just an albatross. I mean, it's such a pain in the ass because, well, we just got to $41 per month. But the most of it has been less than $20 a month. And then you have to produce an extra show each week for them. And talk to them on the internet.
I'm beholden to no one.
Yeah.
I can do what I want. I can say what I want. And let me tell you, we're going to get raw.
Yeah.
Nick.
Oh,
I hope you don't mind. I invited Milo, and we're gonna really get into the alt-right.
Maybe just start a Patreon just so like that third cousin who is a millionaire gives you $30 a month.
Hey, Naomi and I have one for couples therapy. I'm not against.
You don't need one.
I'm not against the idea of monetizing stuff.
You can only monetize so many at once.
Well, how'd you feel moving out here, where now like everything you do has some kind of angle to the industry, an angle towards making money.
Yeah.
In a way that I felt a little freer in New York, even though I moved to New York to try to do this for a living. And so when I got here, I'm just like, shit, I fucking need something that just is not, that capital has no control over, that is just mine. And I don't have to worry about it being something like, hey, there's an agent that's coming down. They want to turn Beginnings into a TV show. Which is not a thing.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know how it would be, because this is such a pure form of entertainment. I don't know. I think that it's the entertainment, the little niche that we grew up in New York, alt comedy community. I don't know if it's changed much in my mind. It probably has changed, and I just haven't been changing with it. But I always feel like there's always an angle. You're hoping to make money out of everything. And I have the stand-up. I've been doing stand-up for 15 years, and 95% of the time you step on stage, it's for free. I don't feel like I have a need to just create something of my own, because I've wasted my life doing stand-up for free.
But like when you do stand-up, you don't walk on stage being like, well, this 5-minute chunk is going to get me $1,000 down the, like, you don't walk on, you don't have that in the back of your head. Like, but you do know that as a skill that you have, that
do I think a good joke will make me money? Of course I do.
Right, but you're not walking on stage thinking that. You're walking on stage.
I'm not sure. I'm walking on stage thinking, I hope there's no one here that's seen these bits too many times. I hope that someone I really respect doesn't show up and think, didn't he do that joke 2 years ago?
like it's a skill in the same way like an artist or a visual artist or a cartoonist or something like this is
like
a
Steven
skill.
Spielberg visual. Yes, I understand what you mean.
Like Jaws.
Yeah.
You know, this is a skill you have gained, you have
Jaws,
built
yes.
over time, and it is it is. Oh, I don't know how do you think about it? How do you think about like this is a thing that you do that you have figured out how to do well, but that is also it's an art, but it's also something that brings money in and puts food on the table.
Yeah.
So how do you think about the artistic part of that? This is not, by the way, this is not what the show is about.
I feel less and less about the artistic part of it. I think it's easy to get wrapped up in the art when you don't make a living. But now as I stand, kind of like post-peak career success in my life at the moment, I certainly at one point had more opportunities than I have now. So I think of it less and less as I'm doing art. And now I'm just like, where do I land? Where do I land now? I spent the week doing audience warm up at like a kind of a hybrid talk show sitcom. And that's important to me. It was important to me to get that job. It's important to me to do a good job. It's important to me in the future to follow up with those people to see if there's more opportunities like that. I had a focus on stand-up when I was headlining more regularly. I used to headline at least once a month, a different club around the country, and now it's important to me to grow a big podcast for, to get fans, to be able to travel with them, to be able to have people buy tickets. Because even when I was like headlining a lot, it's still like not people buying tickets to see me. They're buying tickets to see someone with 5 great credits. And that's kind of like where I was. And that runs out unless you become famous. And so it's not so much about this just pure fucking comedy art form. It's about like, I need to appeal to some more people. And I need to work in Los Angeles at a job. It's like, because audience warm up is like the equivalent of, just any union job on set. It's not like you get to a certain place in your comedic career where you get to do it. It's like, it sucks.
I don't know. I saw Crashing season 1.
Yeah, that's so funny. Yeah, I finally got into a spot where he rolled out of bed. He fell off of an open mic stage into audience warm up.
But do you think that became more of a? Do you think that became more of a force moving out to Los Angeles? By force, I mean in your life, something that like motivated you.
I don't. I think that New York had dried up for me in terms of, you get your jobs from your friends, and all my friends left. So there was just less opportunity from that angle. And I just kind of had to move to Los Angeles because that's where my life had already moved.
Yeah.
And, my spouse was ready to go. And it was just an easy decision. I think what's mostly motivated me is right after I moved here, I fired my longtime manager, and then I immediately got another manager. And then recently I fired her because, they're not working for you. If you're not making good money to where a tiny percentage of that is good for them. There's just nothing anyone can do to you. So I just decided to step down, late last year. And I was just like, my new focus is to build these podcasts. And that's what I'm doing.
Well, okay. I think a lot of this stuff is also a function of economic class, and especially like an economic class growing up. I think I constantly, when I'm trying to point to things in my own life, well, why do I believe this? Or why do I think that? I'm like, well, I'm a middle class. I'm a middle class Pennsylvanian at heart. And you grew up in Virginia, right? Well, I could find 3 biographical details about you online. Beside one of them, your credits. One of them,
in my bio.
Yeah, one of them was you were born in Texas.
Sure.
And then you grew up in Virginia.
Yes.
So what economic class were you when you were growing up?
I mean, doesn't everybody think they grew up middle class?
I think there are certain wealthy people I have learned that will say middle class to deflect from having to say, well, I grew up wealthy. Even though I think that when I think about that kind of stuff, I'm just like, I don't. When I think about like the wealthy, I think of like billionaires who are hoarding money or large global companies who are using, who are like going bankrupt and then saying, well, the only way we can be solvent is to get rid of our pension fund.
That's what wealthy means to you? It's Nick Kroll level.
Well, no, but I'm saying like when I think of like evil wealthy, that's what I think of.
No,
and then when someone's like ashamed of like growing up like upper middle class, I'm like, well, I'm not going to blame you. What was it when you were 15? What were you going to do? Like give up your parents' money? So
I did. I went and I lived in the woods that they owned. No, I mean, we were solidly middle class, I would say, where my dad earned sub 100K. And we had a nice 5-bedroom house outside of Richmond, Virginia. And I notice in a way I never did, where people I've known for 10, 15 years sometimes, I have only recently begun to realize how connected they were in the industry.
Yeah.
Like what I started this podcast I'm doing with Will Miles and Charles Gould, and then Charles Gould's dad wrote Cocktail very famously, and other movies, but not as big as that one. And Will's dad was an entertainment lawyer in Chicago, and it's just that realization. After that realization, I can just point at all my friends and be like, oh. One of them was like an Iowa farmer, sure. The next one, is just his dad was one of the main writers on Frasier. It's just like, what? Like, you're just constantly learning these things, and you just realize how fucked you were at the beginning
From
that
the
you
very
could have
start.
never known. You just don't realize it.
Well, the myth of the meritocracy is so potent that when I was a kid, I was just like, oh, I just get good grades. I mean, I didn't even want to do this when I was a kid. I didn't know I could do it, but like, I just get good grades, and then I get into a good college, and then I get a good job, and I die. But like,
you keep getting better jobs until you die.
And you get a great looking grave. Like that's the whole. That's the whole
just keep
thing.
getting better looking wives until you die.
Yeah. Just one every year, a new wife.
Hell yeah. Well, I mean, if you want to wait that long.
But then it was only coming out here that I think the meritocracy idea was like just utterly shattered. And I'm like, oh, it's all nepotism. There is nothing else. You may like your talent might help you get noticed at some point.
Yeah. Well, I think my talent is so borderline. Anyway, it was like I was doing really great before diversity, became more important. And then I was like, I'm just not good enough. Like it was when the cards were stacked in the whites' favor. I was like, things were fine. But then it was like, you're not getting everything just because you're white.
You're like UCB, in which they could mismanage their business in a great economy.
Yes.
And then when the economy soured a little bit, they're like, oh shit, we were not doing it.
Yeah.
Our business was not good enough.
That is a perfect analogy. Yes. And so now if you factor in the nepotism, you're like, oh, if only I had a little nepotism in my taco, that would be, But it's just like...
but that's all it is.
It's recognizing that of course, I would be wherever I wanted to be had I been more talented. Because I feel like I was seen by I got the opportunities. I could have, used a little more. I could, I never really got to like... audition a lot, never. Every audition I got was 3 months after the last one. And I'm like, auditioning, how do you do that again? You freak out. But yeah, no, it's just like anything. If I was just a little harder work, it's just something to push yourself over the line.
But I don't. That's the thing. I think that the more I'm out here, I think the dynamics are mostly nepotism, and there are things you can do that push you that make up a little bit of the, like, let's say it's 85% nepotism, 80% nepotism. I don't know what the exact proportions are, and then there's some stuff you can do to push in your favor. But like I do think the diversity,
I think that's just like mad dangerous to start thinking about and start accepting, because ultimately it doesn't matter. It either is or it isn't.
Well, you shouldn't stop. Like, I think of it in the kind of like existentialist morality way, right? There's no God doesn't exist. That doesn't mean you shouldn't be moral, right? That doesn't mean things are meaningless.
But those two I don't feel are even connected.
Well, I'm saying you create meaning in the world.
Yeah.
All right. So just because the meritocracy doesn't exist, that doesn't mean you shouldn't make things you think are important and then try to do something with them, right? Or make something that you think is something that's artistic, or make something that you think is funny, or whatever it is. I think it just changes how you go about it. Definitely, like this last. I've always been very ashamed of being direct about the things I want, right? Like, I want to be staffed on a show. I want X, Y, or Z. And I think that's a tool of, I think that's a way that you get that people who don't have nepotism in their corner get kept down in some way. I don't mean this to be like a conscious thing. I don't mean there's like a bunch of like, Hollywood executives are like, oh, this is how we're going to, everyone that's coming into our town that's trying to get a job here, this is how we're going to keep them out. Yeah. It's just, I think, a function of the dynamics of the system. But, this staffing season, I was at one of these like WGA mixers, and someone was like, you should just say you want to get staffed. Just be honest about it. And as opposed to like being here and being like nervous and anxious about stuff, just tell people. Be like, yeah, this is what I'm here for, and this is what I want to do. And I thought that was very good advice.
Yeah, did it help? Did you get staffed?
Well, anything and any possibilities I still have are just from friends who happen to become who their shows happen to get picked up and then ask me to submit. Mm-hmm. So in that way, no, it didn't help me. But like learning the dynamics of the system so that I can stop being coy about stuff and stop pretending like I'm a capital A artist. Yeah. And be like, well, this is the stuff I want. And will you, X person, will you help me get that thing? Without being, I think there's like a tip over into sociopath, right? You can just be like this creature of this business that only wants those things and only seeks out relationships in order to get those things. I think that's sociopathic behavior. But you can certainly just be honest with the people who are in this industry that you do like and be like, yeah, I'd really like to be able to do this thing. Do you know how I could do that? Even, just like casually even. I think that's probably acceptable behavior.
Yeah, of course, everything's acceptable, man. It's just so hard to like. Everybody's a different type of personality. I am definitely the type of personality who does not ask for the things that I would like, and that has been very detrimental to my career. And the idea of the people who throw a party and invite exclusively casting directors. Ew. We know them, and they're working. But then there's that give and take, of all the people who are successful, how many people are doing it happily and maintaining a work-life balance, and it's not many.
No. In fact, I would say the people I know who have made it in some way seem to be very sad people on some level. Obviously I'm not inside their heads. I don't know, but just like seeing behavior, trying to guess at what the actual emotion is underneath the behavior. I'm trying to rack my brain. Is there someone who like, I don't know.
Oh, I know plenty of people who are happy about it. I just
Happy
the
about their
percentage
lives, happy about their lives or their success. Obviously happy about the success, but I'm saying like,
Yeah, of course,
like
both.
at some level it seems like there's some, I don't know.
I mean, I can't fault someone for not being like totally happy with their life because no one's totally happy with their life. Just like content with the success, the ability to enjoy it. You think about the amount of free time that you have and how you would have almost none of it if you were like, working all the time because you're like super successful career. And it would be tough to give that up. I really am a lazy boy, I like to sit back and relax and hang out with my friends, and I do it 80% of my life. And I look at what I have, but what I have the ability to do, and it's remarkable what I can do with what I have. And I just enjoy the life part of it, my relationship and my friends and just Los Angeles and just all, the things to do, the hanging out, the drinking, the playing, the hiking.
You like fun.
I really enjoy my life. I wish I had some more money because boy, could I enjoy the world.
I mean, is that a reaction to anything? Like, did your parents, were they workaholics or were they like, I mean, what?
No,
okay.
My mom was a teacher. She stayed at home until I was maybe 15. I was 3 years younger than my brother. She quit when he was born and then went back to school went back to work when I was like 15. And my dad was a lifer at the Federal Highway Administration. He he worked there his whole career. We moved around a bunch because he got different promotions and stuff. And so it was never, I did not grow up in a career-focused household for sure, which is why it was very surprising that me and my brother, who grew up going to church every Sunday, not a career-focused house, are totally career-driven and got families. Like he got married only a few years ago. I am not yet married. We do not have any kids. He works at the Department of Defense. He's got a real fancy job. So yeah, I don't know. I don't know how much of my upbringing led to what happened with the kids. It's really weird. We're just very not. You would be surprised as to what our upbringing is, I think.
I mean, were you
so functional?
Did you said going to church every Sunday? Like I know that like part of my
but not in like a really religious way, because my brother and I are both hardcore atheists, and my parents no longer go to church.
But you had to go. Well, that's the thing. I'm fairly atheist. I don't know what I am. I guess agnostic.
I'm a militant atheist.
I am. Oh, well, you came in here screaming about Islam. So.
Well, no, I mean, a militant atheism doesn't.
By the way, that was a joke.
No, I understand.
So everyone's clear.
Literally, no one understands what militant atheism means. It just means that I believe that religion is a detriment to society. Not just that I don't believe in God, but I believe in the belief in God is bad.
I go back and forth about that kind of stuff. I don't believe in God necessarily. I think I just don't give a shit. It doesn't affect my life if there is a God or if there isn't. It hasn't done anything for me. I definitely don't have faith. I don't have any kind of like actual divine feeling inside my chest when it comes to religion. I find it all boring. I find it really boring. This is why I was asking that, which because like I know that like I think like the kernel of me being like a goofy guy comes from religious school, and I just being bored out of my fucking mind there, and just like doing whatever I could to entertain myself. Same thing with school. A lot of time I went to like an okay school. I had a handful of great teachers, but I would say most of them were mediocre at best. And I would just find myself bored out of my fucking mind in those classes. And just to entertain myself, I would just like come up with like weird, absurd things in my head. I would just write things. I would draw weird drawings. And that's definitely like the thing that bloomed at some point into the kind of like weird guy I am now. And I felt, I didn't really know you that well in New York. We ran in like different circles, but when I saw,
Yeah, I would run left, and you would run in a right circle.
yeah, and we
Counterclockwise.
we would always meet that one when the two circles would
Sure,
meet up,
in the
but it would
middle
just be
of
like a
the
high
Venn
five, and then there would be and then we would just keep going on. But I loved your half hour so much, and I'm just like, I saw in. I'm like, I identify. It like resonates with me.
You saw it live in person.
Yeah. Your comedy resonates with me on such a deep level. And I'm like, I think we're both goofy guys at heart.
Yeah.
And so I don't know, was it mine developed out of boredom? Do you know what yours developed out of?
Yeah. I don't know if it would have been different, no matter where I was. It developed it's a lack of ability in a lot of ways that you have to be if you expect to have any job, like the inability to pay attention, the like homework. I never got any positive reinforcement in the ways to be like, you would be good to work at a job. Like, I can rely on you in that way. You're funny. Your grades are terrible. You're a problem in the hallways. You're late, whatever. You're very funny. And I never got any positive reinforcement on anything else. And I can't imagine a scenario where that wouldn't have been the outcome, that I had to be a comedian who didn't have a real job.
It's so strange.
I have a very short temper as well. And that's just like,
wait, for real?
Yes. And it just does not help in work life.
It's taken a long time. I think I realized in my early 20s, I'm like, oh shit, being angry at stuff. I was always an angry kid. I think it was just like, I always felt kind of like othery.
Yeah.
And I had, it's not like I didn't have friends or didn't, no one hassled me at school. I was weird, but like no one, like I wasn't like an outcast. So I don't think it comes from that, but I think just like this kind of like vaguely like I don't fit in the suburbs. Mm-hmm. Everyone's Christian here. Like there was a lot of like things where it just like it started bristling, or like I don't like how awful politically things are, no matter what year you were born in.
Yeah.
If you have any kind of political consciousness, you're just like, we just live in a sea of injustice, and every once in a while there's like a plank of justice that floats by, and one person can like float on that for a while.
Yeah.
But it's mostly awful. And I think in my early 20s, I was like, it's not good. I shouldn't feel angry all the time. Maybe I should, get this shit under control.
I don't think, my anger is not like a baseline anger. And I certainly didn't, wasn't feeling any injustices when I was growing up in a overwhelmingly white upper class suburb. I didn't know about it. That's not nothing was stemming from that. That didn't come till later. But I feel angry. I don't like being lied to,
mm-hmm.
and that is so much of life. Is people not being truthful, and I'm not truthful with it. It's just people aren't truthful, and I really react to lying, and I will classify lying as just any untruth, and that's a big source of anger for me.
Is that something like where you lied to a lot as a kid, or is it just because like for me the injustice thing? It's just like I needed everything to be fair when I was a kid, and then like the idea of feeling political, it just got in my bones from like if my sister Erica, if she gets something, I have to get that too, and then I start getting attuned to other injustices, like if we aren't getting murdered in the streets by death squads, maybe people in Latin America should not be getting murdered in the streets by death squads.
Yeah. But what are you going to do about it? It doesn't pay to really give a shit about that because you're not going to fly over there. You're not going to call anybody. You're not going to donate anything. You're going to get mad and maybe annoy Naomi with that information. And that is as far as it's going to go before you take a nap.
Well, I don't know. I donate. I do call my congressperson.
Sure, we all donate, but none of that money is making it to prevent someone getting mass murdered in the street.
But the point is, like, the seeds of that were in my childhood for sure.
Yeah, if you donated to Beto, ask for it back.
I did not.
Okay.
I am a Sanders Warren person.
Congrats.
Thank you. That's what I was looking for from that.
Yeah.
I was looking for congrats.
No, I'm a hardcore Sanders person, and you know, I really didn't understand why anyone wouldn't be. You know, that's the kind of thing where I'm not obviously not worth having a political discussion with because I'm entrenched, baby.
So the seeds of that were in my childhood. Are you were you being lied to a lot as a kid, or?
No, I don't think so. And my parents were super liberal. My parents are perfect. I mean, compared to my other parents I've known.
Yeah.
I've never met people who were better than my parents at being parents. You name it. I never saw them fight. I never wanted for anything really. My parents are big champions. I mean, too supportive, I'd say. They let me do anything I want. They support every just terrible adult decision I make. They're really fun to hang out with. And they're really fun. Like, when my parents come into town, I have friends who want to see them. Last time they came into town, my friend Tim, who I grew up with, had just a special party just to invite them over because they're great. And they're fun. And they're nice. And I always take their phone call. They're just like great friends of mine who are super helpful and always there when I need them. I don't know what happened. I think my problems are my own. I think my problems are, just whatever, my genetic makeup, it's nature. Whatever, my problems are nature. Yeah.
So wait, there was no I get the lying thing too. Like, I just get it as as a moral person.
And that's, yes. Yeah.
It really bothers me in the fact that I don't really have trouble lying because I've learned how to be an actor enough that I can lie if I really need to, but I really don't like it. I also don't like cluttering up my brain with lies because then I'm like, oh, if I told this person this thing, now I have to fucking remember that forever.
Yeah.
I barely remember the names of my friends' kids, and now I also have to remember this. I've just changed reality for this person, and now I have to remember that when I see this one person, I always have to keep up that reality. It's just it's way more work.
I have none of that. I cannot do that at all.
Yeah, well, that's why I just try not.
If I have a password on anything, I will immediately tell Lyra. There is nothing you can find on. She was talking to me about thirst traps, just like guys liking, random. And I was like, you can scour fucking Instagram. You will not see a single like from me on a single thirst trap. I am clean as fuck, baby, because I am not trying to worry about anything. But I think that, the lying, just like needing a rewards card at CVS or something.
Uh-huh.
Like, the level of lies that I have to accept to do that is too much for me. Because you're saying it's for my benefit. And that is your stance. You're like, well, if you have this card, you could get discounts. And then I don't need the fucking card. And you're lying to me about needing it. And then, so I'll go and this is every time that you need to use it. I will stand there and it'll be like $8, but it's $3 because it's $5 off using your card. Then I'll go and then every time it's $8. And you're fucking lying to me. It is not $8. It is on sale for $3. You're a liar. And they're like, well, you need the card to get the discount. And I say, you're lying to me about that because I do not need that card. I can ask this guy for that card. I can ask you to fucking run your own fucking card. And if worse comes to worse, I will sign out a Scooter McButt's card and then get the fucking discount. They don't appreciate it. But I'm just like, you're fucking lying to me. I don't need all of this. You're doing this to me and I'm not getting anything in return. You're data mining and you're asking me to do it. for you.
So you're like, I mean, the thing is, you're very sensitive to the reality of the world and then the unreality that's been placed over that reality. And the unreality is what we all kind of like buy into. Mm-hmm. And you're just like, why are we fucking not paying attention to the actual reality of the world that we're in?
Yeah, how come millions of kids got raped from the Catholic Church? And we're just like, we'll fix it. You didn't fucking fix anything. Nothing is happening. I mean, it's a rape factory. And I don't know why I have to walk around on eggshells around that topic. If you give money to the Catholic Church, you are actively supporting rape of children.
Yeah. Well, this is a thing that like slowly over time I've come to think, and I don't know if it's just that we've totally gone over a boundary since 2016 where it's just a naked power battle. Yeah. There's a better way to phrase that, but we'll stay with that. I think about this a lot. I used to study philosophy, so I think a lot about like, was there ever a time? Because I was trained in how to argue, right? That's like one of the core skills of being a philosopher is how to argue with people. And I wonder if there ever was a time when you could actually argue with someone and they would buy into what you believed, either politically or just in your general life or whatever. Or if that's just been a lie that's been told that like that's how you properly do things. And it's, again, a thing that like that just happened to be like something easy to stop you from understanding that, no, really, it's just it's influence. Do you have power over these other people? And if you do, you can just make them do what you want, and you're just dressing it up in a fancy suit of argument. Mm-hmm. But really, it's like, well, I'm more powerful than you, and I'm just too polite to say, do what I want.
Test after test, you put this guy in charge randomly. This guy's your subordinate. You let it happen, and it turns awful immediately and evil.
But like, was there ever? I constantly wonder: was there ever a time where like you could actually argue with someone, and then if you were right, like I became a vegetarian because I read of this philosopher, his book called Animal Rights. All right, and in it gave a really good argument for why you should not eat animals at all. And I'm like, I kind of believe this argument. I guess if I believe it, if he's right. If Peter Singer is correct, then I should be vegetarian. And I'm like, I guess I should. I can't think of anything against this. Mm-hmm. And he doesn't have any power over me. But so, at very least once in my life, someone's actual argument influenced how I live my life morally. But I just wonder if I'm just like a sucker who bought into that kind of thing, and really I should just nakedly use power as much as I have to get what I want in life.
Yeah, I don't know. You think about if you, as you had grown up in a different place where in some county that was, a red county and 99% of the people voted for Trump, blah, 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 would it have been you? Would it have been you? And I think you know who you know. And if you live in an area where there's a lot of different types of people, you want to protect a lot of different types of people. And if you live in an area where there's white people, and that's all you ever know, then you want to protect them. You just want to protect your community. That's it.
Well, okay. Well, let me throw this at you then. You're born in Texas, right? Are your parents from Texas?
No. I mean, they had lived there for a few years, but I only lived there for a few months. And we moved around Arkansas, South Carolina. I mainly grew up outside of Richmond. I spent 5 years in Maryland. But also my parents are very liberal.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Are they from Texas originally?
No.
Where are they from?
My mom's Jamaican, if you can believe that. And my dad is from Florida, and he grew up all over the world because his dad worked for the paper mill, and they would move once a year around the world. They would like spend a year in Florida, then like a year in India, then a year in Florida, a year in Peru, Florida, Mexico, whatever.
So he's like a third culture kid.
Yeah. So my parents both spend time as children in different countries.
So wait,
And
how's
that
your mom?
obviously helps being liberal.
Well, how's your mom end up in Jamaica?
She was born in Jamaica.
Right, but I mean, so her parents,
Yeah, she was third generation Jamaican. Her grandparents, I guess, moved there.
from.
Oh, somewhere in Europe. I'm kind of like on her side, just like a European mutt from the top to the bottom, from the light to the dark skin. And then my dad's side is just half English, half English. And it's really boring. He really screws up like my ethnicity.
So at some point, 2 generations ago, 3, right? Your mom's family moves to Jamaica, immigrates to Jamaica for was there a specific industry that they?
No, I mean, I don't remember. And my dad is really into genealogy. And so I know all of this information. And I've been told all of this information so much, but I don't retain it very well.
Right. You said in school you were not interested.
Yeah. Tell me something a couple of times because I gotta pay attention. Yeah.
Is it ADD? I wonder. I've never been diagnosed myself, but I'm definitely like a.
No,
flight.
I got diagnosed as an adult because I'm like, there's something wrong. But ADD medication is dangerous because it's cocaine.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, and so you can only do it so long before you're like, I'm like addicted to Adderall now, But also, it's really difficult to get. And in New York, it's like you have to get like re-diagnosed every month to you have to go to the doctor, like physically go to the doctor, get an appointment, go to the doctor, pay for that appointment, to get the thing. It's like, it's insane. So I get it here and there from my friends, and it's great if I have a writing deadline. And that's basically what I use it for.
So, okay. So your dad grows up all over the world. Your mom grows up in Jamaica. And then where do they meet?
They meet in Japan. She was teaching English, and he was in the military.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. He was in the Air Force. So.
What's that, in the 70s?
I guess it would be in the 70s, yeah.
You're a little younger than me, so
early
something like
70s. They met probably.
Yeah.
He did not end up going to Vietnam because he broke his finger in a pickup football game on the base, and it was, worked on by this doctor. Who fucked it up, and now he can't make a fist, and he's got to hold one finger down with another finger. And the doctor that did that to him was dating my mother, and anyway, long story short, he got her.
Was that like
revenge for the finger,
or like, hey, you know what? I fucked up your finger. Yeah. If you want to go on a date with my girlfriend?
Yeah. Yeah, pretty crazy. But they told him that since his finger didn't work right, he couldn't enlist, or he couldn't go to Vietnam. So then he made sure to sign up for, Vietnam to go. So he's a veteran.
So he went anyway?
No, he just is a veteran because he was active military at the time, even though they wouldn't let him go.
Yeah. Oh, okay, I see.
Yeah.
So and then
it's not part of his personality. He doesn't wear the hat around the National Mall in D.C.
He doesn't does he board first on an airplane?
He does not. He never brings it up. Yeah. Because he also worked for the government, and so all the benefits were the same.
Oh.
Like discounts at hotels or whatever.
I mean, how's he getting into the FHA? Is it just like...
Yeah, I don't know, because he was a marine biology major.
Wait, what?
Yeah, at FSU, 6 years, 3... Then, 5 or 6 years in the military, and then 3 more at Florida State. Took him a while. He was a cheerleader. Yeah.
Okay, I'm starting to kind of get a picture of where you come from, and I'm like, this is.
My mom was valedictorian of her high school in Michigan. They're everyone in my family is National Honor Society. I broke the chain.
But they're not disappointed. Like my parents,
No, they're too good.
my parents are. I know on some level slightly disappointed I'm not a doctor or a lawyer.
No, they just want me to be happy, bro. And that's it. And they're happy. And they just like they're retired and they're professional travelers. And they just sent me a picture today from a plane. They're going somewhere. I don't even remember where. I couldn't tell you. But that's all they do. They just like go around to different countries and travel and eat, and it's incredible.
How do they become liberal?
Well, I think it's they went everywhere. My dad's family is super fucking racist. When I went the last time I like spent time with my dad's family, we do not hang out with them. That my brother and I were riding, and this is 20 years ago. But my brother and I were riding in a pickup truck with some uncle, granduncle, something, I don't know. And he told us to look under the cab of the seats of the truck. And we looked under. It's a sawed-off shotgun. And he said it was for the N-words. And we'd never visited them again. That was my grandpa's funeral. And it was just like, all right, goodbye. That's not us, bro.
That's what you said?
Yeah, I was like, bro, I may be like freaking 12, but
you emptied the shotgun shells out the window.
I shot him. I picked it up and I shot him with it. And that's why we couldn't go back, because he doesn't live there anymore.
It would have been just an empty house.
Yes, but we go back to the graveyard he lives in to pee on it all the time.
Also, we're wanted for murder there, so like it's very.
There's a lot of layers.
Yeah,
but I'm a happy guy.
We went to my sister's wedding in Florida a couple weeks ago now, and I found out a lot of my relatives voted for Trump, and I'm like, you're Jewish. He doesn't like you. What the fuck are you doing?
Oh, but he supports the pro-Israel platform because that's what his...
Yes. Well, there is now this like split. There's always been this split, but it's very pronounced now between right-wing Zionist Jews and progressive humanist Jews, where the right-wing Zionist Jews don't think we are Jews, because the right-wing Zionist Jews tend to be the people in power, they get to say, we're the only Jews, and every other one else is a pretender. So Andy's a pretender, and
well, you are. You're a terrible Jew.
In what way?
I don't know, man. I just thought I would hit that out, and you'd be like, "Yeah," and then we'd move on. I didn't come from anywhere. I'm sorry. You're a great Jew. You're maybe one of the best Jews I've ever seen.
Well,
I would invite you to cut my penis right now.
You don't mean circumcise. You mean just slice your penis.
Just slice it off.
Yeah.
Just because I regret.
Well, that's the thing. Humanist progressive Jews, we love cutting. We love cutting dicks.
Hell yeah.
Not circumcising people, just like doing a little
dicks.
doing a little slice here and there. It's art to us.
That's what I think of. Like a lot of people think of baseball if they're trying, not to come too fast. But I just think of moils, just 1,000 moils descending on my penis.
The 1,000 moil march, the million moil march.
Yes,
it was sitting right in fucking front of us.
But you're right. That is too many people to have access to my penis at once.
Yeah,
1,000 is enough.
Sure, they're like vampires. For your dick.
If you invite one in, they're all coming in. Okay, we'll edit that.
That's the thing we edit. I don't. Wait. Why did I say the dividing line between the Zionist, the like Netanyahu's who love fascists? Like it drives me insane. Where he hangs out with like Viktor Orban, and he hangs out with Bolsonaro, Jair Bolsonaro, and Trump, who are white supremacists and hate Jews, and they're like, but they like this one Jew. And as long as you are okay with Israel, which like the kind of like evangelicals who love Israel here only love Israel because they want all the Jews back there so that the apocalypse can happen and then all the Jews can die.
Well, it's weird, because taking a side on Israel, Palestine. It's a fool's errand. Who, and no one wants to hear my side, but it's like
you're like bomb them all. You're wearing a T-shirt right now that says bomb them all.
Yeah.
And no one will sort them out because you don't believe in God.
Yeah.
Wait a second. Hold on. If you, this is something that I think about a lot. This is unconnected with what we were just saying, but it just popped into my head. I came from Pennsylvania. I didn't think any of this was an actual job. I didn't even know it was a. I'm like, I saw Seinfeld.
Doctor?
What? Witch doctor?
Abortion doctor.
They said witch doctor. I'm like, that's a weird.
No, witch doctor?
All doctors.
Okay.
I didn't know being a comedian, being a writer, anything was a job. You're coming from Virginia. Your parent, your dad works for the FHA. Your mom's a teacher. How do you even think that this is something you could do?
Well, I never thought about the behind the scenes jobs. Actor's a job. Comedian's a job.
Yeah,
that's what I wanted. And it was only, after you learn the realities of the industry, blah, 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 that there's like these other jobs and you need to have one of them unless you're fucking famous, luckily. So it wasn't about that. It was just like, I'm so bad at all of the job-like things, the things you need to be good at to have a job. And I'm very good at fucking off and ruining people's concentration during class. And so I think I can do, I saw The State, and those formative, that came out when I was 13. I immediately started taping all of them and then rewatching them and memorizing every sketch and then repeating to that. But I cannot imagine how many times my parents had to hear Porcupine Racetrack just sung at them, just nonsense. And so they all went to NYU. So I decided I got to go to NYU. And apparently you need very good grades to get into, and also so much money. And I did not have the grades, and so I didn't. I went to school for 2 years at George Mason University in Virginia and then quit and just moved to New York because that's all I really wanted, was to just be in New York. But
was it like a... Do you think it was a passion? Do you think it was like a... I don't know another word. I was saying my brain came up with desperation in the sense that like there's nothing else I'm good at. I'm good at being funny.
Yes, there's nothing else. And even having a career is hard. Whether it's sometimes it's going well and sometimes it isn't, and that's why I'm still fucking doing this shit. Because sometimes it is going very well, and when it is not, I will think, okay, time to wrap it up. Time to go to school, get a degree in something. And I'll think for weeks, months on just anything I think I could actually do. And there's just nothing. I've never been able to think of a single thing that I am interested in that I could go to school for. I can't. I don't know. It doesn't exist. It's this or just, I don't know, welfare. But that's too much paperwork.
Well, look, I was on unemployment for a while. After I moved to New York. I moved to New York, and 2 weeks later, the economy collapsed.
I was on unemployment for 2 years after the economy collapsed, but that was over a decade ago.
Yeah, and let's just say it's not a ton of paperwork.
Yeah, but even then, it's weekly paperwork, and so that's a problem. I mean, you underestimate my inability to do paperwork. I'm currently 2 years behind on my taxes.
Oh, did your parents do everything for you when you were a kid? Did you have responsibilities when you were younger?
I mean, I was yelled at a lot I'm sure they wanted me to. No, I did things, like mowed the lawn. I ruined some plants, do the dishes. I broke some dishes. I need to be asked a couple of times to do it. And it's funny now in my own relationship, I am my parents, because my girlfriend is not good about dishes and recycling and all that kind of stuff. And I kind of enjoy doing it. And that makes me feel bad. Also, my dad is super into gardening. We had a huge lawn in Richmond, and he turned the front yard and the backyard. Like the backyard was an herb garden, the front yard, which is a beautiful, lush garden. And I hated it. But also he would make me weed as a punishment or something. So I had all that wrapped up in it. And then I had a backyard in New York, and I have a backyard in LA, and I love gardening. I love it. Currently, I'm filling in holes in my backyard with soil that I'm buying at Baller Hardware. Check it out. Hyperion. And then I got some grass, and I'm growing grass in my patched up lawn. I'm trying to even it out so I can play, because I was having problems with both my cricket set and my spike ball area, because it was a very dangerous hole there.
Sure, of course.
Yeah.
But I'm just trying to think in my head. I'm like, I wonder if in some way your parents, you paint them in this kind of like perfect light.
Yeah.
I wonder if in some way you are a reaction in the same way that like my parents were like very responsible, and I grew in reaction to them and they're being very responsible. And there's some stuff that rubbed off. Like they're very moral people, and I think I'm a very moral person.
No.
You're saying no, I'm not?
No, you're not.
How fucking dare you? You come into my house, you drink my fucking water.
I'll kill you.
I'll ruin you.
I can't say that any part of me is a reaction to something my parents were doing that I didn't like. I just, they're super liberal. They went to church. I think I had the luxury of my militant atheism because that they didn't, maybe, where it just wasn't cool to say you're an atheist. I think that they're atheists, honestly, and then we have to talk about it every time we have a conversation. They're like, "Nope, we definitely believe in God," and I'm like, "But the rapes." They're like, just because the Catholic Church,
Wait,
blah blah blah.
The church. Did you grow up a Catholic?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. I see.
So I'm again it.
It wasn't like you were Episcopalian and you're just like, these other fuckers.
No, they have their own fucking problems. But the Catholic Church is, the Yankees of religion. So.
But did you know that stuff was happening when you were a kid? Like, was it when, I don't know when was the big, like, spotlight report?
No, I just was, when I was a kid, it was just, I hated being lied to. It was all made up. And dudes wrote it. and sure, I don't know when I became aware of the rapes, but I was definitely not into it before the rapes, and then the rapes. No, it was all so fucking stupid. It's just a big waste of money. Everyone's there giving their tithing, which is just like they're not doing anything for you. This is all nonsense. They're lying. They can't sing. They're not charismatic. What are we all doing here? And I went to like a big, there were like maybe 2,000 people at a service, at my church. All my friends went there. It was social. That's what it is. Everybody went. It was social.
Right. So I wonder if that, I think about a lot on this show about like, where does otherness creep into people?
Yeah.
Like if you're doing this for a living, or if you're a good stand-up, I think you have to have some kind of otherness in you, because you have to be pushed apart from society enough to start noticing these things. I wonder if that being in the church and being like, what the fuck is this, as a kid, was like that first little like wedge in between you and everyone else in some way. I don't know. I'm just speculating.
No, that makes sense. And my parents allowed it, because most of my friends in Catholicism, when you're roughly 15 years old, you go through confirmation, where that is your decision as an adult. You are baptized when you're a child. You don't have any autonomy. And then at 15, it's your decision officially. And then if you want to, then you go to confession for the first time, and then you're like an adult member of the church. And so I had been fighting with my parents, knockdown, drag out for years, every Sunday, about going to church. I was never into it. There was never a point where I was like, it clicked. We're like, I don't like this. I just never had any affection for it whatsoever, and it was always bad and a waste of my time. And so during confirmation, I was like, finally, I'm out, and I have not stepped into a church since. I went to some in Europe recently, and I declared never again.
That's your never again.
Yeah. Never again. I did refuse to go into Notre Dame when we went to Paris a couple of years ago.
But how could you but now you can't post a photo when it was on fire.
I know. I mean, it's so, I just have such hatred for it. You know, these, I just think about how many slaves died just making it, you know? And anyway, where the fuck was I talking about? And so I had a lot of friends whose parents did not let them make that decision, and they considered themselves atheists, but their parents made them, and that was most of my friends, and so that was a big deviation at that point, you know. But then I moved to New York, you know, not too many years later, and it was weird. If you live in New York and you're a comedian, and one of your friends says like, "Hey, I'm going to church,"
yeah,
you're like, "Huh? Record scratch." I had a roommate, hilarious dude. Went to church. I didn't know until I like lived with him because he just didn't mention it. You know, he went to church regularly. I'm like, what?
Yeah, Sydney Washington, when she was on couples therapy when we were back home last December, and she mentioned going to church the next day or that day. I forget when it was, but whatever. She mentioned going to church. I was like, wait, what do you mean
for AA?
No.
Yeah.
What do you mean you're going to church?
Yeah.
No, going to church to go to church. Yeah. And I was just like, why? Wait, I'm sorry, I missed something here. Whatever it is, whether you're going to temple or going to whether you're going to church or mosque, whatever your religion is, just that I do have a problem with like if you were a stand-up and your job is to kind of like find the like weird stuff in society and kind of like pull at that thread. And you have faith. I don't understand how you have faith still.
No, not man, me either. I think someone's lying to themselves, honestly, because there are some comedians that we're friends with who are very vocal about like being conservative, having conservative views, and I don't fucking buy it. Like Tim Dillon, Nate Bargatze, they are geniuses, and I cannot reconcile a genius having conservative views. I just can't do it. There'll be somewhere, you know, you hear like Steven Spielberg goes to church or something, and I'm like, why? Why? I cannot figure it out. The thing that I've learned doing the show is in some way your childhood is inescapable. Uh-huh. So if you come from a religious or conservative background, I think it's very difficult. I think especially if you've given up a lot of other stuff, this is a weird job to have. Whether you are a musician for a living or whether you're a comedian for a living or a writer or whatever, they're weird jobs. They don't function. You don't have the same life as a lot of other people. And sometimes you just, you grasp to certain pillars that give you some kind of stability. And a lot of that is stuff that you were raised with. Mm-hmm. And so like, I don't know Tim very well, but I know he's had a lot of like, there's a lot of chaos in his life. You know, with his mom and some other kinds of things. And I'm just like, I wonder if like, there's just like, well, I grew up on Long Island. So I just need to cling to the politics of where I grew up because I need some kind of stability, and that provides stability. Maybe I'm just venturing a guess because I don't know any other way. Like if you're good at this in any way, you have to be able to understand that the world is more fucked up than everyone. But I guess my point is like I think you need to have some kind of that everyone wants some kind of stability. Mm-hmm. And so if you can't have economic stability in this and you can't have existential stability because you're constantly questioning yourself, what's left, right? Mm-hmm. And you're going to grasp onto something unless you're okay with chaos. There are some people we know who are okay with chaos. I'm not one of them. I mean, is anyone okay with it? I mean, they may be unable to stop creating it, but does anyone look around and they're like, all right, all of my relationships are broken. Perfect. I think they don't like it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm just speculating. I'm like, it's in the realm of possibility. So surely there's someone who's just like a Loki walking around being like, everything's chaos. I'm cool with this. Hey, it's me. This is my impression.
Wow, man.
Loki.
Man of 1,000 voices. Andy Beckerman.
The Norse god of mischief.
Shout it out.
Also, very close to my radio voice. Hey, 92.1 LOKI.
This is your radio voice. This is your radio show, Andy.
Right, but, we're a little more relaxed talking. I don't have to affect a way of speaking. Wait, so we're kind of towards the end.
No! I thought this was my new life.
You're just going to live here and talk about...
Sitting in your podcast.
Talk about your childhood for... I don't know. Do you want to have a 24-hour podcast?
Yeah, baby. I'll just get out of here. We'll get another guest in here, and then I support.
No, I just meant you 24 hours every day.
Oh yeah,
no sleep.
Well, I'm surprised that's not a podcast already.
Probably there is.
Yeah,
we live in hell.
Vlad's YouTube channel.
But if we can try to tie some of these things together into the wrapping paper of your personality.
Sure.
I do wonder if the kind of the I don't know about hatred of Catholicism when you were a kid, but definitely annoyance of Catholicism as a kid.
Yeah.
Combined.
Really, just the most boring hour and a half of my week. Absolutely. No reason for it.
I wonder if that combined with your I can't really do anything else is the thing that pushes you into this stuff.
Yeah. No, I mean, yeah, of course. At one point you're like, maybe all that's left are my opinions. What's the one thing that's a little off kilter, that's a little different from everyone else that I grew up with are my opinions and how staunch they are.
But wait, did you have allies when you were younger?
Of course I did. I mean, I some of my closest friends today I grew up with. Because I was a theater kid, and we had a very successful forensics theater team, and we traveled the country every other weekend, going to these tournaments and winning. And so that was a giant part of my life, was a bunch of weirdos, the gay kids, the outcasts, whatever. But that's not even it. It's everybody. There's, plenty of, Letterman's jackets and A+ students in this, because it's a discipline, and it's a lot of hard work, and it's not just for some weirdo who just wants to hang out in the art room. And that was also a part of I could do this for a living, because this is what I'm learning in high school, to perform and to perform at a high level. Yeah, it wasn't this abstract thing, I guess, the performing aspect, because it was the biggest part of my life, and I saw my theater teachers more than I saw my parents by a lot. Yeah, it was
Yeah, I hated the theater kids in my high school.
It wasn't just that I went to school and I was bad and then I went home. It was getting through the day. I had a theater class, I had a speech class, and then as soon as, the bell went off, then it was time to go to rehearsal.
Yeah. I shouldn't say hated. I didn't hate the theater kids in my school. I just they were very dramatic, and they took the drama from Guys and Dolls, and they brought it into their real lives. I'm just I was just on some level, looking back on the time, I just I didn't want to hang out with them.
Yeah.
But I'm just at the time I was just I don't like that drama. I don't want to be near that. And so I instinctively just stayed away from and just went to the like intellectual stuff where all our emotions were repressed, but I could answer trivia questions and I could build science things and do well.
It's also funny too because there was a lot of reward. You know, we were the team that won the most. You know, after every week, you know, they would have in the morning announcements be like, you know, the football team lost 100-0, and the forensics team, you know, won the Wake Forest Invitational. And so, you know, it wasn't kind of an outcasty thing. It was, you know, we were like the dominant squad in the school that had most of the trophy room, whatever.
So there was a ton of positive reinforcement from there.
Tons, and none from anywhere else. So then you go into your adult life and you're like, fuck, you know, because you know you win all the awards in high school, and then you get in and you're like, oh, you know, we all won the awards in high school, and this is the new reality. But I'm just fucking another year I can squeak by with not having a real job is just a total absolute victory. And that's all I've ever wanted, which is a problem in my career, that I am so satisfied with just baseline having a career. And then I'm like, great, I'm fucking done. It's like working out. And then you're like, I got the 6-pack. I'm done. And then, you know, you get fat again. But I also can enjoy it. I can enjoy it, but also I will lose it because I am enjoying it too much.
The deep contradictions of Nick Turner, I think, are where we've ended up.
I'm a good boy. I'm a good boy with good intentions, and I am flawed just like everyone else. But stop raping our kids, you know?
In general.
Andy.
Jesus Christ. don't put the fucking Catholic Church on a progressive humanist Jew of anything. If you want to drop the crimes of Israel.
Andy's what I call the Pope. Sorry.
But that's because I just wear tall hats.
Yeah.
That has nothing to do with anything else. Yes. I just like tall hats because I'm short. Yeah. I'm a short man.
Yeah.
And I like the illusion.
The eye. Yeah.
Again, I'm Loki, god of mischief. Nick, thank you for coming over.
Thank you, Andy.
And we'll see you guys next time.
I love you.
Me or them?
Oh, shit. I was not prepared for questioning after that. Everyone.
Bye.
Bye, oh, bye, oh, bye, oh, bye, oh, bye, oh, bye, oh, bye, oh.